We are live for a new episode of the Electrek Podcast. I am Fred Lambert, your host, and I'm joined by Seth Wintraub. How are you doing this week, Seth?
I'm good.
All right, let's jump in. This week, we're going to start with an exclusive, really. Elon had a company-wide meeting at Tesla this week on Wednesday night, and apparently went quite under the radar. Like no one actually got the meeting, but us. We obtained a nice little recording of it, thanks to some sources that won't be disclosed. And it gave us, there wasn't no big news in the meeting. The way that the meeting was set up, it was more of a recap of what Tesla achieved in the last few months to a year. And then he spent a lot of times taking questions from employees regarding any type of aspects of the company. So some of the highlights, well, he talked about the delivery end of quarter delivery wave. So if you remember last year, Elon said that they're gonna move away from those delivery wave, and that they're gonna try to level it out so that there's no rush at the end of the quarter like there is now for a multitude of reasons. But they even told the employees in Q4 2021 to don't focus so much on the delivery numbers, but focus on cost. And then that's sort of transferred into this year, but he says that this is not going to be the case this quarter at all due to the factory shutdown in Shanghai, obviously. So the what he said is that this has been a challenge since late 2008. There always seems to be something that happens and causes the end of the quarter to be nutty, and this quarter will not be an exception. Mostly because we had this huge challenge with the COVID restriction in Shanghai. It basically shut down the factory for much of the early part of the quarter. It is only now getting back to full production. It will be pretty insane this quarter. So you can expect a big delivery rush. Um, he tried to reassure the employees, though, making sure that like this is again an exception, though the exception has basically been the rules for the last few years. But next quarter, unless anything special happen again, it should be easier. And then after that, as the Gigafactory Texas and Gigafactory Berlin ramps up, well, especially Gigafactory Berlin, because Gigafactory Texas is more for the U.S. market, but it's still going to help for sure. But Gigafactory Berlin, the ramp up, what it does is that it starts to remove some of the capacity that Shanghai used to send export cars to Europe, and that they can keep that for the Chinese market or other markets that are closer, so less transit time and more level number of cars delivered throughout the quarter, instead of just building a bunch of cars for Europe, putting them on a ship for a month that arrives at the end of the quarter in Europe, and then the rest of the quarter you just produce car for China and you have to all deliver them by the end of the quarter. It's unsustainable. So it all depends on the production ramp up in Gigafactory Berlin, which he didn't discuss during the meeting. He didn't elaborate on how it's going in Berlin. He did talk a little bit about Gigafactory Texas, and said that the bottleneck is still the 4680 cells and the structural battery pack production. Didn't elaborate on what that means in terms of actual production volume, but he did reference the million battery cell thing that Tesla had accumulated a million battery cells for the 4680 prior to the start of production, but that just means 1,000 cars. So it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, didn't we hear also that Shanghai might be shutting down again this weekend?
No, I think they are talking about another wave of like lockdown in the city. But I think Tesla. What was it going to happen in Shanghai is that Tesla was going to stop the closed loop system. I think today or no, tomorrow. They were planning to stop it tomorrow. But now, if there's going to be another lockdown, they're just not going to stop it, and the
Right.
employees are going to stay at the factory, which is obviously a big sacrifice. I don't
That's
know how they
crazy.
do
They're
it.
going to be like a country unto themselves.
Yeah, there's 10,000 people at factory.
Tesla town.
Yeah. He did elaborate during the talk on the master plan part 3. So we knew it was about scale. That's what he revealed when he announced it back in March. It's been more than 3 months since he announced it, and we haven't seen it. So I don't know. Maybe it's going to come closer to
He's got other things going on right now.
Yeah, closer to AI day or something like that. But he did elaborate on what he mean by scale. So he said master plan part three is all about achieving very large scale in order to shift the entire energy infrastructure and transported infrastructure of the earth. There has to be a very high scale. We have to ask what is the actual tonnage if we work backward from, let's say, about 300 terawatts hour of installed capacity in vehicles and stationary battery packs. Then how do you achieve that tonnage from a mining and refining standpoint, but also do it in a sustainable way? He said that's what Master Plan Part 3 is about. How do you get enough scale to actually shift the entire energy infrastructure of Earth? Um, so it's something that we basically understood from what Tesla has been doing in the last few months, which is securing supply contract down to the mine, which the automaker has done over the years before, but this we clearly have seen a ramp up over the last year and even the last few months, really. So we think that that's what the master plan is going to be about. Tesla is going to lay out its plan to secure all the material down to the mine for achieving that 200 terawatt hour of capacity. Um, Not clear over one period of time, but I mean, we know that Tesla is aiming for 20 million vehicle produced per year by the end of the decade. So
Yeah.
that's that's
So
quite the goal.
so like global scale, full supply chain. They want to, soup to nuts, have, control over that, and
Mhm.
at a scale so big that you're talking about the whole globe. Uh,
It's ambitious. Let's just say it like that, because you
a
have
little
to
bit.
look at it like this is like the supply chains for electric vehicle exist obviously right now, but it exists with like less than 1% of the entire fleet of vehicle being transferred to electric. So it's just a small. It's still a small. But what he wants to do right now, it's there's nothing to compare it to really, because you would think, okay, like let's compare the entire oil industry to that. It's not even that. The entire oil industry, yes, powers almost all vehicles today, and also some of the energy infrastructure, but not a big part of the energy infrastructure for the most part. There's a lot of other things like there's coal, of course, and then a big part, but there's solar that's been a big part in a lot of markets, wind, hydroelectricity, geothermal, and everything. Um, so it's replacing all the oil industry, all the coal industry. It's adding to other energy infrastructure with the battery packs because, of course, the stationary storage is useful uh, as it complements renewable energy that are intermittent, like solar and wind. So,
Yeah, and there's
it's,
like a lot of side industries as well, like gas stations and
yeah,
and the guys who ship, you know,
yeah, you
truckers.
have to look at the whole supply chain of those industries on top of replacing the industries themselves. So this is the master plan. Part three is going to be the plan that the
The big one.
yeah, it's going to be the scale one. Yeah, I mean, we think so. That's going to be part of the plan. He has been hinting about Tesla getting directly into the mining business too. So maybe there's going to be some of that. He's been hinting about Tesla being willing to buy a mining company. So maybe there's going to be some of that. We don't know exactly the details yet, but these comments were certainly a little bit more revealing than we had before.
On the other side, as always, he's always tweeting or whatever about
Mm,
how much land of solar you need to
mm,
power like the US or the world. I think there's one today where there was what little sliver of Africa is needed to power the world.
mm.
Do you think that Tesla is going to get into utility scale solar, like monster giga
Yeah,
projects?
that's a good question because back when Solar City was Solar City without Tesla, they had utility scale
Yeah.
market, like a small one. They were very big on residential. They were decent in commercial, and they were very small when it comes to utility scale. Like there's a lot of bigger firms that focus on utility scale solar. But yeah, I mean, he's always talking about it. Might make sense to offer it to an electric utility. Like, we'll build you a giant solar farm. Uh, One thing that I haven't reported yet on it, like I'm working on that because I took a ton of notes. Like it was an hour long meetings, and I took a lot of notes, but there was not a lot of things that like jumped to mind as like big newsworthy. But there's a lot of little things that you can build around a little bit. And he did mention the PG&E Moss Landing project that they did inaugurated. And
Hmm.
when he said that, he said that he just got a text from Patty, the CEO of PG&E, and that they are super happy with the way that because he just turned it on like last month, I think, um, and they want to do more with them. So it looked like PG&E might become, because this is a one. I think when it's fully, because now they deployed 730 megawatt hours. I think they are going to ramp that project up to 1.1 gigawatt hour,
That's
and
interesting.
it's a huge one.
Like
And
the communication is via text message.
yeah,
Yeah.
she has Elon's numbers. Yeah, that's good. But yeah, I mean that's a good news. Like PG&E is a massive electric utility,
Right.
and it might make sense to convince them to also like, oh, let's do a solar farm project with a other giant battery like that. That could help out. Also in Texas, I would assume that Tesla is working in Texas on something like that. But also, what we've been hearing more recently, Texas is more like a VPP, virtual power plants that they're planning to do there. Actually, they have a demo running right now, a demonstration of a VPP in Texas. Where was I going with that? Oh yeah, Elon also said that it was their best month. It wasn't clear on that. I think last month was Tesla's best month for solar installations.
Hmm.
So
I wonder
to
if that
date,
includes the Solar City days.
I would doubt it. I would doubt it because Solar City, yes, I think at like 200 megawatt
Yeah,
quarter.
they ran
Quarter, yeah, that's a quarter, maybe not a month. So yeah, well, we don't actually know. We don't. That's the point. We don't have the data of just
right.
a month from Tesla. We have to like average it over 3 months because they only released it quarterly. But yeah, he did. We said solar in general. It didn't split panels and solar roof. And then when he mentioned solar roof, he seemed down a little bit about it. So he said, "Oh, solar roof is a tough one. It's tough enough to crack and everything." Like he was, but he says they're making progress and everything. I mean, do you remember when when they announced the solar roof,
Yeah, that was
and
like
it was such a
a
big
decade
deal, and
ago or
then
something.
yeah, and uh, they were so hyped about it, and then nothing happened for like 3 years.
I never got. I mean, for me, it wasn't a big deal just because I have solar panels on my roof, and
Hmm.
like it doesn't look any worse than it did before. Not that our roof looked amazing, but
Hmm.
I think for a lot of people, just throw some panels on your roof. If you're building new, that makes sense, like for sure, to put a solar roof on. But the solar panels are even more efficient. Like you don't have to put as
Hmm.
many up, or you get more energy out of the ones you have than the roof. I don't know. Doesn't I mean solar panels don't look ugly to me. I know people who think they're ugly, but I don't know why.
But there's definitely some that are uglier than others. Like now you can have
Sure,
some sleek ones
yeah, the all
that
blacks,
yeah, all black, and the fittings make it so that they don't look like they are over the roof. They look like they are flat on the roof.
right?
That's a big deal too, I think, for sleekness. Yeah, I mean, I would be in the market for a solar roof technically because I have to redo my roof this summer, uh, and on the house that I bought last year, and I've been renovating, and I want to have solar on it. So I have two options. I build a new roof, I replace the roof, and put solar on top of that. Because I didn't put solar yet. I have my power walls installed, everything, but I didn't put solar because I knew I was gonna have to replace my roof.
Hmm.
Uh, or I could just do solar roof while I'm at it. But I mean, there's no options right now in Canada. We've been hearing last year about them like starting to do some test installation in Canada, but there's nothing have come out of it since. All right. The other big thing is he elaborated on the plan to improve service in North America, but during the meeting he actually said that it's going to go global. So earlier in the week, or actually in the last weekend, Elon said that he's been working on Tesla service in North America with the goal to reach 2/3 of repairs being the same day repairs, and that's an ambitious goal, of course. And if you are a Tesla owner, you're familiar that sometimes you have to wait weeks and to get some service. So, but when he announced that earlier this week, he didn't elaborate at all on how he's going to achieve that. At least he didn't use his usual line that, oh, the best service is no service, and we make our car so reliable that we never need service. And like, yeah, that's a great idea, Elon. But the reality is that, especially at the scale that Tesla is right now, like it's just, yeah, there's going to be something that happens. There's just no way. Like there's 2 million cars on the road.
Yeah,
So he elaborated on how he plans to achieve that. So I think we still have a relatively conventional approach to servicing, although we kind of use the vehicle app. So we definitely have a better service than the rest of the industry. Yeah, it can be questionable, but I really want Tesla to look at how we can revolutionize service, and I don't know, make it 10 times better than the rest of the industry. Like, he actually used 10 times better. He didn't say order of magnitude better.
I mean, it's definitely
Yeah.
a place ripe for disruption. I remember. Do you remember when they hired like the F1 guy to like
Mm-hmm.
like the idea was like you pull the car in and like the tires are swapped and like
Mm-hmm.
really quick. Um,
Yeah, like a pit stop.
Pit stop, right? Hasn't really happened. I do
No.
think the mobile service is like revolutionary.
Yeah,
Like
the mobile service is very good.
you,
Uh,
you don't have
might not be
Chevy coming out of.
growing as fast as it should, maybe. Like I can always look at the fleet of mobile service every quarter, and it's not growing. It's not growing nearly as fast as the customer fleet is
Right.
growing. That's the thing. Um, but so it seems like they're still taking some approaches that was discussed back then when I forget the guy's name, Hammer or something, Hammer.
Yeah.
When you hire him. But they want to do, instead of a pit stop, they want to do like specialization stations. Like there's going to be a bunch of different service bay within the service center, and the service center is going to be bigger too. So he wants bigger service center, and he wants to have bays that specialize in things in there. Um, so he said, we definitely want to increase the number of people who actually repair cars. When looking at the total headcount at the service center, the ratio of people fixing cars to everyone else doesn't make a ton of sense. I think there should be a higher percentage of people fixing cars. And then he said, kind of like we have in the factory, we are going to have, say, one service bay for 12-volt battery changes, another bay for fixing the computer, another one is drivetrain replacement, and like more specialized like the factory, he said.
Hmm.
So this is at least an idea. I don't know how it's gonna work, but they are clearly working on improving service. And yeah, earlier this week he said North America, and then during that meeting he said, yeah, but that's the model is gonna start in North America and then gonna go globally. But yeah, you can expect some bigger service center, which I think we already been seeing. Like Tesla, in the last few buildings that I saw, Tesla secures for stores and service centers, or Tesla centers, how they call them now. They've been some pretty big locations. Um, all right, let's move on from the meeting. I might have a few other things to discuss in the meeting later on. Like I have to go through my notes again. Maybe can
Can you
find
send me that
nice
audio
one.
file? Let me
Yeah,
read
well,
through
I
it.
can send it to you, but it's pretty beat up. But I can maybe put it together. Um,
Okay.
Tesla Cybertruck with updated interior and windshield wipers goes on a nice little outing. Speaking of, that was actually in Moss Landing. So they they actually did the commissioning last month, I think, but they did like an official like ceremony at the battery system this week, and the Cybertruck showed up, and we saw that it's a little bit modified, not too modified, but first thing that jumped to mind is the windshield wiper. Yeah, the giant windshield wiper in the previous version that we saw. This one is a lot smaller, though. Though it seems to be the same, just not without the top part on. I
Do you
don't know
think it's
what's.
like telescoping? How do you think it works?
Yeah,
Like,
that's what I was thinking, maybe because like this thing doesn't look like it can. It look like it can like cover like the driver's part of the screen, but not much more than that. But it is a giant screen, and we actually get a good view from it because we have some pictures, thanks to KSBW, a local news channel. They obtained some pictures of the interior of the vehicle, and you get a good idea of the scale of the screen. Like especially with the little like a camera enclosure right there. It reminds me a lot of the Model X, really, like the screen that goes all over the top, very similar to that. But you can see that the interior is a little bit updated. It's not the same that we saw before. It doesn't look complete though. Like the stand for the dashboard like looks kind of out of place. Like it doesn't look
yeah,
like it
it's weird.
doesn't look like it beyond it belongs in a production car, as far as I can tell. As a what they call it,
Yoke.
yoke steering wheel. Well, obviously, like it's missing an airbag in the middle. It's a bit beat up. Those window, well, I don't know if you can call them a window, but those pieces of glass in between the windshield and the fenders, I think that's new, and I thought that wasn't there before. And
Yeah, those
also, obviously, that's you have the big
the rear view mirror is not a good thing for those. It just doesn't look great. I mean, I don't know what you do. Like, I don't
the
know.
side mirrors. You mean?
Yeah, the side mirrors.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Those are big truck side mirrors for
for
sure.
me, like, I know, like, it took me a while to get it okay with the Cybertruck, and then I
Mm.
loved it, and now every single iteration that comes out, I'm like, I don't know. Like, I just doesn't have that same, like, air of, like, coolness anymore when, like, the tires look like just normal tires,
The tires
without
look cool. Oh yeah,
well,
they don't have the big ones
they don't
anymore.
have those weird caps on them that were, like,
Like,
transformer-y or whatever.
you cannot replay that for some reason. No, personally, I'm still excited for it.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, the side mirrors, though. I really wish that NHTSA, or I think it's NHTSA that's responsible for that.
I thought they
Get
had,
their.
like, a plan to get rid of those.
It was being evaluated recently. No, I say recently. That might have been like 2020, where they evaluated the option of using cameras and accepting the use of cameras, like they do in Europe. In Europe, it's accepted already. I think we need to move forward on that, especially if the rest of the world is already moving forward. Like,
Right.
it makes no sense, and not just for electric cars. Like, this is good fuel efficiency for any any vehicle to do that, as long as you get it right. I remember the only time I tried the system like that is in the e-tron. I tried it in Abu Dhabi, and it took me maybe like a few hours, and I got used to it. Really.
Yeah, we had in the Kia EV6, it had it both. It had both the physical mirrors and it had the rear view
Mm.
system, so that we could see what the Europeans were going to get, and it seemed pretty good. Like, I mean, with all the cameras you have on a car
Mhm.
nowadays, as long as you know where that system is, you're in great shape. Nowadays with Tesla, if you turn on the turn signals, you get a look at the kind of the rear facing camera from the side of
Mhm.
whatever side
Yeah.
you hit the signal. And that's like, all of a sudden I'm starting to look at that because, I want to see where the curb is and
Mhm.
all kinds of other stuff. So, like, once you start getting into that mindset of a car, I mean, for us, it's hard because we review a lot of cars and they're all
Mm.
different. But once you get into that mindset with a car, it's going to be a benefit.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I cut myself a few times too. Now since they have that update on the Tesla, not to actually check my my blind spot
Yeah.
physically like that, instead of just looking at the cameras. But yeah, you should still do it probably.
I mean,
But maybe I was thinking with the Kia EV6. So are you sure when they told you that they told you like it's just there because like it's an European car and we added the mirrors on it, or because I'm thinking that if I have a car that like that, and I have it from a European market and also shipping the car to the US, I'm not gonna like redo the whole system
right.
of my camera just for that. I'll just add the mirrors and then ship it like that, and then the system can still works like that. I remember Elon even mentioning that they could potentially just ship it with a system like that
And then you just
with the
take off.
mirrors, and then you just take the mirrors off yourself. I don't know how legal that is, but I'm not sure that they can arrest you for that. Like, or not arrest you, but like fine you, whatever,
Yeah.
for doing that. It's
Yeah, it's
like
kind of
the
silly you'd
equivalent,
have to.
because even if you have mirrors, like there's plenty of people that don't use them. So,
Right.
can you get a ticket for not using your mirrors?
I mean, if you get into an accident, you're gonna.
Sorry, is it on me, the truck sound? There's a like truck backing up sound that I keep hearing.
Uh, I don't think I have one.
No, so probably in my street. I'm sorry about that. There's not much I can do about it. I know they were redoing the aqueduct here, so probably that. All right. The Tesla Model Y with 4680 cells built in Texas are starting to be delivered at some customers. So I've been following that. Like, it was unveiled at the Cyber Rodeo in April. Delivery started there, but only for employees. Then a few weeks ago, they opened up orders for. They didn't open up orders, but they offered to some people that had a Model Y on order in Texas if they wanted to switch to this version of the Model Y. And some of
Does
them
it come with
took
the
them up.
horns?
I don't think so. Yeah, I always use that picture. How do you say like, oh, is it Texas spilled Model Y? Like, how do you make the difference if you don't look under the hood? Or so
It
this
needs
is make it,
horns.
yeah, makes it pretty clear. So yeah, we didn't know much about the car because Tesla hasn't put it on the website anyway. And all we knew is the price started at $60,000, a range 279 miles, 0 to 60 in 5 seconds, and then there's a few new features that are not in the regular Model Y, like a magnetic center console armrest and a parcel shelf. So now that it's been delivered, some owners are starting to test it and get a better idea of the real world performance of the car. And this gentleman from Spoken Reviews on YouTube got his car and put it on a test, and he gave us an idea of actually the energy capacity of the vehicle by when charging it. The vehicle charge accepted 59 kilowatt hours from 9% state of charge to 97% state of charge. So if you extrapolate that, that would give you around 67 kilowatt hour of usable battery capacity, compared to um, the long range Model Y built in Fremont that's closer to 80 megawatt hour. Megawatt hour. That would be crazy. Kilowatt hour. Um, so we get an idea of that. Now, as for the charging capacity, so again, he started at 9%, and he gave us a nice little idea of like all the as you go up. So 20% in 3 minutes, 50% in 12 minutes, and then 80% in 34 minutes. So that's generally the one that you want here, like the 9 or 10% to 80%. That's, I think, the most representative of your a general fast charging session that you're gonna want to have. So 35 minutes is really good. There's no it's good. However, I saw a lot of people, a lot of Tesla fans in the comments of that YouTube video were very disappointed by the charging speed. Like they thought like it's going to be a lot better than that with the 4680 cells and everything. The charging is technically better if you look at the stats, because even though it peak at 227 kilowatt and you can get 250 on the regular Model Y with 170 cells, that's with a Model Y 2170 cells with 80 kilowatt hour battery capacity, not 67. So if you actually look at the peak C rating of each, the one with the 4680 is both higher at peak and also on average. So it is a better battery to charge. There's no way around it. And in the Electrek take, I also discussed the potential for software update that improves that, because if you've been following when Tesla first released the Model 3 Model Y with 2170 cells, uh, the charge rate was locked way below 250 for a long time. I think there's been 2 or even 3 different software updates that uh, improve peak charging capacity with in term. Like, I think there's too much of a focus on peak charging capacity. Like I think Audi back in the day when they first launched each one of some good example of that, of like all the peak charging is not that important as long as you can maintain charging a high charging rate for a longer period of time. So this is more something to look at for. But this is a brand new cell. I mean, literally, Tesla only had a million of them, which again, a million of them sounds like a lot, but it's not a lot. It's 1,000 car back in February. So this is a very new cell that Tesla is most likely being cautious with right now. And I think over time might unlock more capacity through software and let it charge at a higher rate, and a higher rate for a longer period of time too. That would be nice, because it did temper off relatively quickly in that test. I mean. All right, we have a few more news items to discuss, and then we're gonna get into the comment section right now. I see already a few comments there, but if you guys have a question, just put them question in all cap and then write your question, and we're gonna get to it later on the show. Or if you have a specific topic you want us to discuss. Also, if you do enjoy the show, please give us a thumbs up right now. It's free to do. It takes a second, and it helps a lot with the algorithm. And we're trying to please the algorithm. All right. Oh yeah, that was a surprise for some. Tesla has filed for the use of a new radar in its vehicles with the FCC, and it got a lot of people confused because Tesla Vision and Elon's comments lately that Tesla is betting everything on cameras and neural nets, and is actually removing radar from from the vehicles to focus just on computer vision. He told us last year on Twitter that the probability of safety would be higher with pure vision than vision and radar, not lower. Vision has become so good that radar actually reduces a signal noise. Um, he said, but at the time, he also I don't know, I don't remember. I tried to find if he said that publicly, but he did. He did told us on DMs on Twitter that a very high resolution radar will be better than pure vision, but such a radar does not exist. I mean, vision with high res radar would be better than pure vision. And when he said that, I sent him the RB radar that claims to be a 4D, a high resolution imagery radar. Uh, and I sent him to that as like, hey, this looks actually promising. And he didn't respond to that because he did say that there's no such a radar does not exist. And then, if you remember back then, Green, and famous Tesla hacker, uh, reported that Tesla was testing in the software. You could see Tesla was testing a new radar, and the code name matched the radar that RB was producing.
Hmm.
So we thought, oh, it looks like Tesla is working on bringing a new radar to market or to their vehicle. And now, not a few months later, literally a year later, I think, uh, Tesla has filed with the SEC for a use of a new radar. Now, we have to be careful because there's not a lot of details on that radar. And I thought it could have been a cabin-facing radar, for example. It could have been everything. But Green did note that the frequencies that the radar is using is similar to the one that Tesla is using for the front-facing radar of the vehicle that have one, but that they don't use it now that Tesla has moved to Tesla Vision. So this would point to another front-facing radar for the use in the autopilot of self-driving.
Yeah, that's gonna be a tough pill to swallow for some of the folks, the Tesla folks who've been so adamant about radar not being necessary.
Yeah, I mean, it does raise some questions because that has been an issue. Like, what's going to be the actual hardware suite that enables full self-driving?
Right.
And Elon has made it clear it's going to be only cameras that's going to be needed. But now there's even been questioning about the cameras themselves. If the cameras are good enough in Teslas, I think the current Tesla vehicles are equipped with 1.2 megapixel cameras, which Elon said would be enough. But now we just heard this week that Tesla's made a deal with Samsung to buy 5 megapixel cameras, and like it's a giant $1 billion deal to supply those. So obviously, I'm not saying that Tesla should not improve the hardware over time. Like it makes sense to always improve the hardware, but the problem with improving the hardware now, within the context of Tesla still having a lot of issues reaching full self-driving, it's naturally brings up a lot of questions to people that are like, all right, does my car, on which I bought a $6,000 to $12,000 package to have the full self-driving in it, is it really going to be able to achieve full self-driving? It is a legitimate question that people have.
Yeah.
All right, BYD, speaking of supplying Tesla, sounds like they're gonna start supplying Tesla with battery cells. So that was a rumor a few months ago, but now it's coming directly from a BYD executive, Mr. Leon Yubo, executive vice president and president of BYD's Automotive Engineering Research Institute. So funny enough, during an interview, he was asked about Elon and Tesla and about Elon laughing at BYD cars. Of course, that was back in the days, and like I don't remember when, like 2013 or something, if I remember correctly. And BYD cars have become better over the last 10 years. And but he was asked about that, and then his response was surprising. He says, Tesla is a very successful company no matter what. BYD respects Tesla and we admire Tesla. We are good friends with Elon Musk, and we will soon supply him with batteries. We are friends. So within the context of the rumor a few months ago that Tesla was testing, actually the rumor was Tesla was already testing BYD's new Blade batteries. So those new Blade batteries is these battery cells here that are super long, hence the name Blade batteries. Here you can see them better. So these are the Blade batteries, and they are LFP chemistries, but they believe with the form factor is really the big deal here, and the form factor actually enables something like a battery pack. So a structural battery pack like Tesla has been doing with the 4680 cells, of course, completely different format, but still the same goal. Uh, so you see, they went directly from cell to a cell array to a cell battery pack, to a battery pack actually, not a cell battery pack. So I mean, looks like serious at this point. I wouldn't call it a rumor if like a high up executive confirms it, but let's wait and see where these batteries end up.
I get the feeling that Tesla is trying to get batteries from every single maker on the planet
Yeah.
right now. Like there's no way that they can get enough batteries to satiate the demand for their cars.
hmm Yeah, and I mean, like if they don't buy it, someone else is gonna buy it and build
Right.
cars with it. So Tesla has more ambitious than anyone in terms of like the ramp up of EV production. So they're like, we're gonna use everything we can get.
Yep.
All right, moving on from Tesla, the White House announced a new plan for to develop new standards for the national network of 500,000 electric car chargers. So this is related to the infrastructure bill that they passed last year that included 7.5 billion for EV infrastructure. So over the last year, they've been talking about how they're going to distribute that batteries. Is it me?
I think so.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's definitely me. Sorry, guys. There's a truck outside my windows. My windows are closed. It's just this is how loud it sounds. It's probably just outside. I apologize again. All right. So they've been like discussing with players in the industries, stakeholders, and whatnot. How do we distribute that money the most efficiently possible? And so $5 billion is going to go to the states, and individually each person, each companies, each entities that want to deploy a charging station is going to be able to apply to that state to get some of that federal funding, but they want to have some minimum standards for those battery stations. So that's what they announced that they are calling for proposed rulemaking right now. And there was a proposal that came out that showed like they were going for 150 kilowatts and up. I think eight stalls per station. um, what's the I forgot the name. What's the when you pay and you just you just
Plug
have to
and charge.
plug and charge.
Yeah.
So plug and charge involved too. All things that make sense, obviously. Um, I mean, I would agree with that. 150, it's kind of low nowadays,
Right.
but I think there is a market for 150 kilowatt stations. But I would like maybe if they split up the money, or like there's some money available for 150 station, but some money that also can only be you can only get that money if you're going to deploy a 350 station.
Right.
I think that would be good because
Or make it upgradable. Like
yes, good point. Yeah.
so here's my take on that, and I've gotten a little bit of experience with Evolve New York. It's a state charger agency. I have to say, like, I'm not a Republican necessarily, but I don't know if government doing EV chargers is the right way to go. Evolve New York has been a little bit of a mess. Um, every time I go to a Evolve New York station, it doesn't work. Worse than the others. I think when MKBHD did his trip around, he tried a couple stations. They didn't work. They do sometimes work. I've seen people charging there. It's just like you got to do like six different things in a weird order, and do a Fonzie hit on the machine to get it to work. And it's just like, and then they ended up using like Greenlot's system, Greenlots for the credit card verification, and then they used like Electrify America's something. So they ended up just piecemealing stuff that already exists. So my takeaway is like just get Electrify America in there, set minimum guidelines, have a real bidding war with ChargePoint and all the other EVgo, whatever. But like government running stuff is good for a lot of stuff. Healthcare, maybe, I don't know, but for this doesn't seem like a good way to go. And on top of that, there are companies that theoretically want to make money doing this, and who you're not going to go to a if a government station is inexpensive or whatever. Geez, I'm sounding like a Republican, but it just like it scares me to have like the U.S. government being in charge of this, because it's going to take like 10 years. It's going to be lackluster
Mhm.
and behind, and there's going to be like under the table payments and all kinds of other stuff because everybody's corrupt.
Yeah,
So
but to be fair though, I think like the way they talk, like they keep talking about this national network of 500,000 station and everything like that. I don't know how, like, because I see a lot of like GM claiming like we have a network of like no how many station and everything, even though they don't have any station, but they count like every station that their cars can use to their partnership with Electrify America and EVgo and all that. So I think this might be more of one of those cases where that this money is going to be used to deploy 500,000 electric car station, but EVgo might be able to apply to it and
right,
build that on their network. Tesla is going to be able to apply to it and deploy that whenever, and so on. There might be like New York Evolve might also be able to apply and do it, and that might be the part of the problem for sure. But I think it's going to be more like well distributed than that. Just a really a quick breaking news. Tesla just filed their stock shareholder meeting information, and they are asking for a 3-to-1 stock split.
yeah, it's what, 4 billion shares.
Yeah, they're asking to increase the share to 4 billion so that they can do a 3-to-1, a 3-for-1 stock split. So if you have 1 shares of Tesla, if this goes through, you're gonna have 3 shares of Tesla.
How's the stock liking that?
It went up a little bit, but not too much.
Yeah, up $7.
Yeah. The impact of a stock split, I mean, you do feel it on the announcement a little bit, but you feel it more after the actual stock split goes through.
Right.
Yeah, that's the idea behind it, really. All right, I'm gonna get a little bit more into that after the show. I'm gonna have to dive into the document that they just released. All right, the Polestar 3, they released a new the first official images. It looks sleek. I like
Yeah, it
it.
looks nice.
Looks a lot like the C40 XC40.
Uh,
Reminds me of
yeah, it looks a
old.
little longer. It looks like
y-
a XC60 probably size.
Yeah, uh, yeah. Design wise, I mean, but
Yeah,
that's the only picture they released, really. Oh no, this is a
yeah.
complete one. Or the video was just nature. Oh, it's just a teaser like that. All right, I don't like that. The Polestar 2 will feature a dual drivetrain at launch with WLTP targeted range of over 372 miles, 600 kilometers. Polestar 3 will eventually offer autonomous highway piloting utilizing LiDAR sensors from Luminar and centralized computing from NVIDIA. So
That's cool.
autonomous highway pilot, so level 3, I assume that's what they are hinting at. Consumer can expect to order the Polestar 3 beginning the day of the world debut, which is October 2022. Production is scheduled for early 2023 in the US and China. Early 2023.
Did they
Pretty
say
nice.
where their debut was going to be? I'd say New
No,
York or LA or.
I don't know. But they invite me to Sweden. I want to go to Sweden. I've never been.
Yeah, it's nice. Stockholm.
All right. That was just a quick one, just to laugh a little bit. Ford, a lot of Ford F-150 Lightning owners are taking delivery right now, and they look at the packages for the Ford connector and the mobile power cord that comes with it, and all the adapters, and they are supplying a J1772 to Tesla adapter within the mobile cord adapter. So why would they do that? It makes no sense. You would think it's unusable. There's no like what you would use a J1772 to Tesla adapter is if you have like a level 2 charging station at home, like a regular one, like from ChargePoint or Flow or whatever. You can use that adapter into that station and put it. I use it all the time because when I go to my parents, for example, they have a Flow station outside their home, and I park there with my Tesla, and I always have my adapter. It's the very same adapter that this one that Ford provides. plug it into that, and then you can charge on the level 2 with your Tesla without using an actual Tesla charger or Tesla wall connector.
I wish they had the button on there. Like the
Yeah,
button.
So sometimes if you pull without holding the adapter, you end up just pulling the connector, and the adapter stays in the charge port, but you can just pull it out after.
But it also opens the charge port. I mean, obviously it's supposed to open.
But all of that, you just pressed on it before, and then you put it in. So why would Ford do that? Well, they actually do it as part of the package to charge other EVs with the F-150. So they expect that they give you like at least $50 charging adapter in every car, in case you encounter a stranded Tesla vehicle without charge. You can stop next to it and give them a little bit of a charge with that. I mean, it's pretty, like, so a lot of people said that, it was Ford trolling Tesla with that, and it really might be or not. Like Tesla, I know that Ford said, "Oh, we're just trying to be helpful and everything," which technically, I guess, but that, like, no joke, like 99.9% of those adapters are gonna go unused. Like this kind of
it's
a waste.
kind of a waste. They should
Yeah.
put them on eBay.
Yeah, because first of all, there's not that many electric car that goes stranded without a charge. Like, unless you're just like you're not paying attention at all and you don't know where you're going and everything. Like most people, they have a destination, they know where they're going, they know how much battery it takes to get there, and they get there. Sometimes you might be close and everything like that, and there might be an issue and everything. Yes, but the chance that happens, and also if 150 lightnings happen to stop by,
Right.
they're pretty damn low. So,
Well, eventually the F-150 Lightning will be,
yeah,
the most popular car on the American road, theoretically.
I guess.
I think it's more of a PR stunt so that they get a
Yes.
lot of publicity, and
Yeah.
it looks like it worked.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I wrote in the article. If that was it, it worked. All right. The Lightyear Zero. So this is just last week? I think last week we were talking about the Aptera and how cool it is that a project that goes for super efficiency, and then because it has such an efficiency that doesn't take a lot of energy to travel with it, you can put solar on it, and the solar is actually useful in recharging the car. So this is the same idea behind the project, but Aptera goes for the lower end. Lightyear goes for the high end. This is a six-figure car right there. But this is the same concept. You have a highly efficient vehicle that you can put solar on it, and the solar actually charges the car. So the Lightyear, we talked about Lightyear a lot before over the years, but it's like first was a crowdfunded project, and that came out of a Dutch university that participated in the solar race challenge in Australia. So this is really like a production car version of that solar race car that is ultra efficient, but doesn't have all the features, safety features that are involved with a vehicle. So now they have the production version here, which is really good looking. It's a good looking car for especially you have to be pretty good looking at the price that they're selling it. But I think they did a good job. You're talking about a WLTP range of 625 kilometers. So I think it's a bit lower than they previously announced.
Yep.
They said that you can add 70 kilometers of charge per day. So this is similar to what Aptera is talking about. The drag coefficient under 0.19. So this is very good for a full car. Aptera achieves 0.13, but again, it's a tricycle. It's a trike vehicle. This is a full car. How many seats it has?
I think it's either a 4 or 5 seater.
Yeah, I didn't say that.
Mikey and I saw a previous version at CES right before COVID. Got to drive around the parking lot in it for a while. It's actually kind of roomy inside.
Mm-hmm. All right. Okay. So yeah, I mean it's exciting. When they start production starts, first deliveries are expected in as early as November 2022.
Pretty cool.
Starting price 250,000 euros.
That's a lot.
$265,000. Yeah, it is a lot. They're only planning to produce 946 of them, and then they're going to use the money to build their high volume, lower price, $32,000 version coming in late 2024, early 2025. So
Master plan.
that's the master plan. That's the goal. So I don't know. I mean, I'm a little bit more excited about Aptera just because I think that their chance of success is higher
It's a more unique
because
car.
well, it's a more unique car. That's the good point for sure. Because like if you have $260,000 to spend on a car, would you buy that car just because? If you buy it, it's just because it is super efficient and you have the solar aspect to it. That's fun, but it's a lot of money to spend on a car. But also, not only that, their chances of actually reaching production and delivering a car to market. This is an actual car that needs to pass all the testing and everything that comes with being a full car. That's extremely hard to do for a startup. Extremely hard to do. I'm not saying that they can do it, but I'm saying it's super hard to do. Aptera is the big advantage of being. I think we learned last week that it's called an auto cycle category, which has much lower requirements. Obviously, it's not as safe, though they're claiming they have the whole roll cage and everything, so it's definitely a lot safer than like a motorcycle or a scooter or anything like that. But yeah, I think because of that, Aptera has a better chance to delivering the vehicle against a vehicle, not a car, than this full car right there. All right, that's pretty much it. Should we jump into the comments?
Yep. All right. 5107. All right. First is from Vicente Perez. What happened to the redesign of the rear of the Model S? It seemed imminent a few months ago with many pictures popping up, and then it went quiet.
I don't even know what you mean, unless you mean like there was the tail lights.
There was a minor update that actually is with us now.
Yeah, that was already done. Like the hub did the tail lights, and I think there was just one trim in the back. It wasn't a major update, unless you're referring to something else that I missed. But
it was pretty subtle. I think maybe you're just not noticing it, perhaps, Vincente. All right. MD question: have either of you guys had any experience with the Gen 1 Honda Insight? So that's that super aerodynamic hybrid that got like 60 miles to the gallon. Love the quirky design and looking at getting one as a cheap runabout. Wait, the Gen 1 Honda Insight, was that a hybrid or was that?
Yeah, that was an electric, I feel like. Yeah, it's a hybrid.
Yeah, and it had that like covering over the rear wheels. Yeah, interesting, cool car. Then I think they made another Insight that was fully electric or something. But yeah, it seems like a cool runabout car. Me personally, I'd probably rather get like
yeah, the first generation look a lot different.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's also in a hybrid though.
I'd rather get like a Fiat 500 or something, fully electric if it's just a runabout. All right, moving on. Marvin Roland USA with the ramp up on vehicle production. When will the ramp up service centers and charging stations? ? I think that's related to the Elon talking about service stations, and it's a good question because they haven't.
I mean, they're always deploying more. Like it looks like they could crank it up a little bit more to catch up with the growth rate of production and the fleet. But no, we don't have any details on what happens. I mean, last year they had a goal to deploy like 52 new service center, which they actually did a little bit more than that. So they are ahead of their goals, but I don't know. I think this idea of like, no service is the best service is still part of the idea, and then that could be an issue at some point.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like Tesla's quite profitable right now. I feel like there's like the thing where they're still operating very inexpensively, like they're very tight with their money, and maybe they need to loosen up a little bit so that the owners start getting the care that they deserve. All right, good joke. I mean, yoke. That's a good one. James Brody, Honda E has a really good camera mirror system here in the UK.
Good to know.
Well, la dee da. All right, sorry, we're a little jealous. At least
we don't have it.
At least they're not doing LiDAR. Okay, so we're talking about the Tesla doing radar. Okay. Then AOC will take care of it. I think we're talking about government corruption and EV charging. Uh, so not much to say about that.
Yeah, it's just a joke.
All right. Adam Wilcox, when is the time to make all electric stations look more like fuel stations? Pull through, full awning, etc. That Electrify America photo seems like the picture of a Big Mac doesn't actually exist. Huh.
Yeah, I think for the White House, like I'm not seeing the new rulemaking. There was I was using a picture of an Electrify America station, but I think that was a render, if I'm not mistaken. Was that? But I get what Adam is saying here. Have like better anonymity at the charging station. There are a lot of those. I think I it's hard. Like it's hard to deploy a new charging station. Like you have like to find the great location. Then you have to have the property owner of that location agree to it. Then you have to have a deal with the electric utility and everything. It's not easy. So sometimes they're not at the best place. Tesla is doing a pretty good job at it. Like most supercharger that I use, like if so a lot of times I don't want to do anything. Like if I'm on a long road trip and I just need to charge, I just stay in the car for 30 minutes and then keep moving. But if I want to stop to have something to eat, go to the bathroom and everything, most of the time there's something around. um but yeah, I've seen a few stations though that are they could use some kind of more of a gas station feel to it.
Yeah. Another problem with Evolve,
Mm.
New York, is they put them at weird places. Don't have any
Yeah,
food or.
yeah, this is a render, this is not a real station. But he's right though. Like this is cool too. Like having the price, how much it costs,
Yep.
make it clear because uh, there's already some discrepancy between different charging station how much it costs. So like to have like the option, like I'm not gonna stop there because they charge this much. Why not? Like this is good.
All right. Question: is it accurate that FSD autopilot does not detect potholes? Is there a plan addressing this critical aspect of driving? I think there's a follow up here. Does any self driving system detect potholes? I thought there was something with Tesla and potholes.
I mean, I at one point I did ask that to Elon Musk on Twitter, and he did respond that they're working on it, but I don't have any indication that they achieved that yet. Um, I'm gonna be able to tell you if Tesla does it soon because I do have FSD on my car now. Yay! I
Nice.
guess I guess I buried the lead, but I did get it this week. Just tried it a little bit, nothing much, but I don't remember seeing any pothole or anything like that. But next week I'm gonna go all the way to Shawinigan and I'm gonna do it the whole thing on FSD. And there's always pothole on the way there, so I'm gonna be able to tell you. But as far as I know, I don't know if there's any system that actually take potholes into accounts. They should though, obviously,
Yeah,
at some
and
point.
when Elon was asking for suggestions, one of those times,
Mhm.
I suggested that
Mhm.
Tesla could map all the potholes, and then because you could do it both from a camera standpoint,
Mhm.
but also from like the suspension
Mhm.
data. You could map where people are hitting potholes all over the world, and then you could kind of shame the worst places and say, "Hey, look, this town in California has the worst potholes," and theoretically that would get them to
Yeah,
fix the
I,
potholes.
I was thinking where you're going with this because I was thinking you were just gonna be like, then you can send the data to the authorities in charge, and then they're gonna do
Yeah, right.
nothing with
They know
it.
where the potholes are.
Yeah.
They drive the same roads. Yeah, so I don't know. That would be kind of cool. Or like when your car is approaching what is a known pothole,
Mhm.
the suspension could loosen up or something. I don't know. Some possibilities
Well,
there.
here with the panels we have in Quebec, it's not about like loosening it up and taking it better. It's you have to get away,
Avoid, avoid.
or it's avoid at all costs if you want to save your tires or your life, really. Sometimes
All right. A few more here. Question: what is the production rate in Giga Berlin?
we don't know.
Okay. And what do you think about it?
I don't know.
All right.
We know last time we heard that the paint shop was actually the big bottleneck here at Berlin, and they were still making I think like 200, 200 to 300 vehicles a day, which is not ideal. They were behind their goal to reach 1,000. That's for sure.
All right, Bike Angel Angelus says, "How will AI learn to depart the lane to avoid a pothole?"
Well, the system already does that to like av- if you are to avoid a collision, is it safe to depart a lane to avoid a collision? Like they'd already make that decision, so it would just replace a collision by a pothole, basically.
Yeah. All right. We're gonna end it with this one question: thoughts on 33-to-1 stock split? We're about to write a story on it, so
Yeah, I'm about to write a story on it, but like, there's not a lot of thought on it. Like, they announced it when I think Tesla was closer to 1,000, which made more sense. Now it's 600, but I mean, if the stock is 200 to $300, like, yeah, technically it is cheaper to buy for someone if you just want to buy one stock and everything. But I would like to see like a clear study of the impact of that, because especially today with like the Robinhood and the Wealth Sample and all those places that have um fractional stock, they call it, like you can buy fractional shares.
mhm.
So like, how many people are really like, I want to buy a Tesla share right now, but I don't have the $700 to buy it. Like, how big of an impact that is, really, I don't know. But we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, theoretically, it's all tied to the value of the company. So,
Hmm.
all
It
right,
works though. For the stock price, it works. Like historically, like you look at Tesla, you look even Apple, when they do it, like it does help the stock. So
yep,
probably there is, but I don't know like if it's just like people like buy it more because like I have a lot of like financially illiterate friends that always talk to me about stock, like, oh, the stock price is low like now, like it's low, like I should buy this stock is only $30, like why I'll buy this $30 stock instead of a $600 Tesla stock.
right, right,
And those people like don't understand, like that has nothing to do with like do you know how many outstanding share there are, like that will give you the actual market value of the company, like, yeah, market value, like. So if it works really with those people, like this is not really the investors you're going after, in my opinion. But
right.
all right, thanks a lot everyone for listening. Thanks a lot for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, please give us a thumbs up if you like it. Please give us a 5-star review if you like it on your podcast app, and we're gonna see you same place, same time next week. Have a good one.